Chapter 8. There were at least 5 grave markers out there, Iris whispered, shouted. She'd been trying to tell Daniel the story all day, but they had a test in social studies, and by the time they got their lunch in the cafeteria, the period was basically over. Now it was the end of the school day, and they were in the school library doing research for their project and recapping the strange events from the night before. Daniel, we're walking distance from a graveyard that we didn't even know existed. That's what our project is for, Daniel said, logging onto the school computer, pushing up his glasses. We can find out why those graves are abandoned back there, but in the safety of the library. Iris wanted to know why there was a graveyard in her neighborhood that no one knew about. Eerie nightmares aside, she wanted to know why all those people had been forgotten about. She went to the web browser and typed in one of the few legible names on any of the graves back there. Avery Moore, Esau, North Carolina. Nothing popped up. She tried again, including the date and their neighborhood. Still nothing. It was like there was no trace of this girl, but she knew she'd lived, along with all those other people who had graves. Maybe the spirits of the snow killed her. Maybe the spirits killed them all. She'd searched for spirits of the snow in vain, knowing that Suga's legend wouldn't come up. Although there were tales of winter spirits in different cultures, she didn't find one that fit Suga's tale. She didn't tell Daniel, knowing that he would tell her, "I told you so." She searched again, typing in the name of the neighborhood and graves. The only thing that came up that time was Samson's Perpetual Care, where Daniel's father was buried. "Daniel," Iris said, "why is there no mention of that grave, or any grave in our neighborhood online? Look, that Avery girl's name is not even coming up." Daniel shrugged. "That could be a good thing to talk about in our slideshow for the project." She tried again, searching abandoned graveyards in Esau, North Carolina. After scrolling through a few websites, she found a very old, very plain website with a gray background and a black and white picture of woods with a single headstone peeking through the trees. Iris shivered. It wasn't their neighborhood, but this graveyard looks similar. There are many reasons for unmarked or abandoned graveyards, the website stated, one of the most common being segregation, which occurred even after death. Some segregation occurred in the form of a single divided cemetery. When this was the case, there were 2 sets of caretakers to look after their respective races, with whites usually getting the more attractive plots. There was also the practice of having completely separate cemeteries. As communities changed, especially through the Great Migration when African Americans fled the Jim Crow south to move to northern cities, the cemeteries solely for African Americans, or the African American spaces in cemeteries, were left untended, overgrown, and eventually forgotten. Iris was immediately transported back to the conversation her mom once had with Miss Stone about how the neighborhood they lived in was once predominantly black. It clicked. No wonder she felt so strange in that graveyard. No wonder the trees swayed, begging for her attention. They were trying to be noticed, trying to draw attention to the forgotten lives back there. The thought made the hair on her neck stand up. She was upset about being forgotten by the principal, but she couldn't even imagine being forgotten in a way like this. That was almost scarier than being in the dark. "Daniel!" she shouted again. This graveyard probably wasn't just abandoned. It was probably segregated, too. Think about it. She passed him her tablet. Daniel skimmed the page and then looked at Iris, deep thought and sorrow washing over his face. "You're probably right. That's so sad. But we can help them." Iris's thoughts were turning a mile a minute. "With our project, we can bring recognition to the people buried there. Instead of talking about graves, we can focus our project on segregated graveyards." They could have the best project and do something good at the same time. Iris's stomach did flips. She knew there was a reason she went back. "Hey," Iris said thoughtfully, "do you think our parents know anything about this?" Maybe, Daniel said, but how can we ask them about this graveyard without revealing that we snuck out? I don't want to get in trouble. Iris tapped her finger on her chin. I'll take the heat. Iris, come on, it's okay. It's just more research, remember? And you'll owe me one. Daniel sighed at his friend, but gave her a small smile that Iris returned shakily. They were one step closer to having a great project and figuring out what was up with that graveyard. But Iris couldn't shake the feeling of dread that followed her to school that morning. What was the Avery girl's last name again? Moore? Daniel typed and frowned. Avery Moore. Esau. Her name didn't pop up. I know. Hey, maybe there was some more information about her on her grave. I took a picture of it last night. Iris pulled out her tablet and scrolled to the pictures she took last night in the clearing. She dropped it with a loud clunk and an even louder gasp. Did you see that? What is that? She pointed to the picture of Avery Moore's grave, the snow angel sparkling all around it. In the back corner of the picture, near the darkest part of the woods, was a dark, smudgy shadow. To Iris, it looked like a girl. Her senses were on edge. She heard every page turn, every door close, every footstep in the library. She shivered, watching Daniel with wide eyes as he looked at the picture. He paused while taking a pencil out of his book bag. He licked his finger and tried to wipe the smudge off like it was a smear on the glass. It wouldn't budge. Daniel, I thought it was my imagination, but I think I saw a little girl out there, the same one I dreamed about. That's probably her. What if she was real? The thought chilled her, the hairs on her arms standing straight up. She rubbed them, her own fingers feeling foreign and cold. If it was the same girl you dreamed about, you're probably imagining her again. Or what if it was a real person watching you? It reminded Iris of what Suga once told them. Sometimes the living is more scary than the dead. She looked at the picture one more time, trying to make out what that smudge was. There's something going on back there, Daniel. They had to dig deeper.